So, of course, it's not a surprise. Another day, another Tank Davis video from Knockout Boxing. Uh, how remember the days when he used to make a video every day kissing Errol Spence's fucking ass. Every day. Errol Spence this. Bud Crawford, fuck him. Errol Spence this. Bud Crawford, fuck him. Every day kissing Errol Spence's ass like a fucking high school girl. Errol Spence got his ass beat, and of course now he never makes a video about Errol Spence. Now what he's doing is dick riding Tank Davis all the way to the prom. You never saw a dude get fucking hustled as much as fucking Tank Davis is getting worked from fucking Knockout Boxing. It's kind of fucking gross. Like literally every single day, every day, you can count them. You could literally fucking use this to build a calendar of the year, because that's how frequently he's going to put out another Tank Davis video doing what? Fucking capping for fucking Tank Davis. So Tank Davis, like any top fighter in boxing does, gets criticized because of his lack of legitimacy in his resume. So what does Knockout Boxing do? He comes out to try to prove how significant many fights on his resume actually are. And in truth, he don't fucking believe that. He don't fucking believe that at all. This is the same guy that fucking talked for years and talked about how insignificant Bud Crawford's resume was. So, I mean, he can't really fucking think that Tank Davis's resume is significant if you spend all that time trying to downplay and dissect and rip apart Bud Crawford's resume. Because that would be fucking hypocritical if that's what he's doing. So I don't see that that's what he's doing. I don't think he believes a fucking word coming out of his mouth. But what he does know is that he makes AdSense and he's making good money from pumping out these videos every day as the antithesis to the LDBC, right? Who literally are dick riding Devin Haney like fucking clockwork. So you got these two fucking guys playing off each other. And it is what it is. I mean, as far as marketing, you got to give them hats off and props for that. But as far as legitimacy, give me a break. There's a reason Tank Davis gets criticized. Because Tank Davis is turning 30 years old. And he's never unified. Never unified at all against anybody from 130 to 140. That's 3 weight divisions. And he's never unified against fucking anyone. And he's been a pro for just as long as Artur Beterbiev. Put that in perspective. Beterbiev and him turned pro the same fucking year. In this time, Artur Beterbiev ended up becoming an undisputed light heavyweight champion with significant wins on his resume. Right? Not the hype that Tank Davis had, not the pay-per-views and the marketing and Floyd Mayweather kissing his ass like Tank did, not the fucking jail time and the assault charges that Tank Davis has, but nonetheless, still significant fights, legacy fights, the kind of fights that do put you in a conversation for potential Hall of Fame, unlike Tank Davis. We go back to Tank Davis's first significant fight, and it was significant because this is when he became a world champion. And now people's expectations, along with the hype, increased, right? You can go back to Adrian Broner as an example. When Adrian Broner was hyped up by Floyd Mayweather and all these Floyd Mayweather crony fanboys as the next Floyd Mayweather, right? It was obvious that eventually this hype would blow up in his face. He'd be exposed, and all that bullshit that was being pushed would just fucking really show the fanboyism from these fans. Because there was never, at any point in Broner's career, where he was ever the second coming of Floyd Mayweather. Not even close stylistically to Floyd. But okay. Now, of course, they went from Broner to Tank Davis. Just like now they're going from Tank Davis to Kermel Moton, right? You see the play, right? These same stylistic type of fighters, short, stocky guys, not an opportunity to really move up through multiple weight divisions because they just can't handle the weight on their frame. but they're obviously explosive, powerful punchers, and exciting fighters, right? So that's one thing they all have going for them, which is why fans gravitate towards all three. Broner had a good fan base. Tank Davis has a good fan base. You can assume Cromel Moten is obviously going to have a good fan base too. You look at Tank Davis. He had that Petraza fight. He won. Excellent. Even though we know Petraza was on his way out of the division, he was struggling to make weight, and that was obvious because after the fight, he moved up to 135, became a champion, and then eventually moved up to 140. Tank Davis, similarly, has moved up to 140. But look at what Tank Davis did at 140 compared to Petraza. It ain't fucking close. Petraza was literally fighting elite fighters. The best thing that Tank Davis did was fight really an unknown in-house PBC fighter in Petraza for a WBA regular title that no one gave a fuck about. At that time, Petraza probably wasn't even ranked in the top 5 overall at 140 pounds. So that's who Tank Davis chose to fight. A guy that wasn't even one of the top fighters at the weight division. And you had quite a few. You had fucking Taylor, you had Prograis, you had Ramirez, and a few others, right, that were significant. He moved back down to 135 to fight a 40-year-old inactive fighter who wasn't relevant since the day he fought Bud Crawford 8 years previously in Yuriorkis Gamboa, right? But yet this was significant? No, it was far from significant. It was actually insignificant, because this was a dude who wasn't even ranked by any of the 4 sanctioning bodies, of course, until the WBA planned to make this fight. And then all of a sudden, presto changeo, Gamboa all of a sudden becomes a top 15 ranked WBA fighter, so that Tank Davis can win another regular title. Not significant. Winning a 140-pound regular title, insignificant. Winning a 135-pound regular title, insignificant. This is the epitome of insignificant. You can go through boxing history since we've made these titles regular titles and see some of the insignificant people who've held those titles and how nobody cared because they weren't considered real titles. They were insignificant by nature, right? And pretty much that's what Tank Davis has labeled himself as, insignificant. A guy that would rather fight for a WBA regular title, a guy who's literally a 3-weight world champion, regular WBA regular champion, because he's never become a 3-weight world champion legitimately. He's still a 2-weight world champion. And even that second weight, he didn't beat anyone to win the title. He was elevated from being the regular champion to being the super champion, all because Devin Haney moved up in weight, right? So then, they talk about this Leo Santa Cruz win. Like, that was significant. Leo Santa Cruz was a guy who was a 3-weight world champion. Had a big fight, a unification fight with Gary Russell at 126, which was a significant fight. But, of course, Al Haymon, the PBC, didn't want to make that fight, so that fight never happened. So they waited and waited until they figured they wanted to make Tank Davis a pay-per-view star. And they needed a Mexican fighter with name recognition and a California fan base so you could sell pay-per-views. So that's why they brought Leo Santa Cruz up from 126 to fight a plain-ass bum. He looked terrible in that fight, won a decision, but did not impress anybody. But this was the plan. So Tank Davis then came back down to re-win the title he'd vacated to win a regular title, right? And he was defending his regular title as if that was fucking significant. No, it wasn't. It was insignificant. And he went back to win his WBA super title that he'd given up to move up in weight, which was insignificant because he never defended it. He won it and then moved back up in weight. It was all just for the purpose of trying to sell him as a pay-per-view star. Since then, Leo Santa Cruz has done absolutely fucking nothing, telling you how insignificant of a win that actually was at that point of Tank Davis' career. Then he moved up to 135, a stacked division. Had the 4 kings in that fucking weight class, right? And literally fought 0 of them. Not fucking 1. Not fucking Haney, not fucking Lomachenko, not Ryan Garcia, not fucking Teofimo Lopez. He didn't fight any of them. Literally. Of course, then Teo won big titles, moved up to 140. Ryan outgrew the weight, moved up to 140. Devin Haney beat Lomachenko in a super controversial decision after becoming undisputed, moved up to 140. And then that's when he fought Ryan Garcia, pulling him down in weight with a rehydration clause for no world title. Again, insignificant. The only thing that was significant about that fight was the fact that we knew it was marketable and it was going to be a successful pay-per-view. And that's why the fight happened. Only because it was going to be a successful pay-per-view. Not that there was any real significance in the fight. There was no legitimacy. There was no world title. Ryan Garcia was being fucking drained in weight and obviously not even at his best. This was a guy who'd already moved out of the weight division because he couldn't make it anymore. So Tank Davis beats him. And we get to this point of his career where we're like, okay, so I just listed all these big fights, but still we failed to fucking find anything significant in his career. But yet knockout boxing still is out there parading, trying to act like this shit's significant. Because he found the definition in the Webster Dictionary and he's utilizing that to try to add some legitimacy to Tank Davis' resume. But the reality is, you're selling fucking shit to farmers, right? They got a lot of it already. They don't need more of your shit because they already got it. You know, the reality is, the only people buying anything this dude is selling are fanboys or just ignorant fucking casuals that don't know shit about fucking anything, right? That think Tank Davis is the face of boxing and a star based on a lot of hype and a lot of propaganda and not much legitimacy. And I like Tank Davis. Super exciting fighter. I enjoy watching him fight. But you fucking charging me $90 for him to fight guys from 130 pounds, that's insignificant. You charging me $90 for him to fight top 10 contenders who've never beat top 10 fighters, that's insignificant, right? You know, we come to a crossroads of a career where we look at what Tank Davis has done and you compare it to historical greats in boxing history, and it visibly pales in comparison. Like literally you can get guys that are never going to be Hall of Famers, but when you compare their resumes and who they fought to Tank Davis, it ain't comparable. Those fucking dudes that will never be Hall of Famers, will never be pay-per-view stars, their resumes are way fucking better than Tank Davis. And these are guys that are nobodies because literally they fought top level competition and a lot of it. Whereas Tank Davis, we're still waiting for him to unify world titles. We're still waiting for him to actually beat a world champion at 135 pounds because he's failed to do that, never done it yet. Never beat one world champion at 135 pounds. Not one. We're waiting for him to become a legitimate 3-weight world champion. We're waiting for him to become undisputed in the weight division. He could have forced the WBA to make the Devin Haney Tank Davis fight. He could have forced Shakur Stevenson to fight him, right? He could have offered Shakur the kind of money where he could not turn down. Devin Haney too. He could have offered Lopez the same. He could have done these things because he's the A-side. But yet these fights never were made. And of course, if you believe in knockout boxing, it's because everyone's afraid of him. But yet, historically, when you're the A-side and you can make people rich and pay them the kind of money they have never made and will probably never make, you know what you obviously always see happen? Everybody signs the contract. Nobody ducks. Everyone jumps at the chance for those big fights. Let's use Canelo as an example, the real face of boxing, right? When he wants to fight someone, somehow those fights always fucking happen. always. You never see guys not fighting him, right? Because they know they're going to get career high paydays. So they're more than willing to sign their John Hancock on whatever contract's in front of them. But somehow with Tank Davis, that doesn't happen. Explain that to me. You can't, because it's not based on reality. It's based on illusion. It's based on fanboyism. It's based on a crock of shit from a dude that literally peddles shit daily on his channel by capping for Tank Davis. Like, I won't even get rude. I won't even go there. But it's some sickening fucking shit that you have to expect one channel to be such a fanboy of a boxer. Like, there should never be that much love between a YouTube content creator and an athlete. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Does Tank Davis have significant fights on his resume? And if he does, please tell me, what are they? And why are they significant?